So today we're going to be diving into one of my favorite AR builds. This is probably my go-to AR build in the dark zone. If I'm going to be in the dark zone, this is probably it right here. This is the one you'll see me run the most out of all of them. Yes, I run one with Unbreakable, but I just feel like this one right here, if you have a healer, it's an absolute monster, and it just hits so hard that players just don't know what they're getting hit with. Yes, when I tell you they don't know what they're getting hit with, they don't. So this was a manhunt right here. It's 2v4. We end up coming out, and we're about to take him out. I don't even know what happened to the guys that they got the manhunt on. I know we were rogue before this. We killed 3 players, and then we got killed, and then they went manhunt on somebody, and then they never came out. We came out by ourselves, and we ended up having to chase these guys. And I'm telling you guys, every time they tried to fight me, it was no chance. It was no chance, especially with the healer behind me. We're just straight murdering, just straight DPS. And when they would try to run, that's when it was even worse, right? That's when they were just getting melted down. They were doing better when they weren't running. When they started to run, it was just GG's there. Here we got it's a 2v2. They have a healer, we have a healer. And look, he's getting healed in the back. And you just see what happens to the guy. And the heal couldn't keep him up. It was that nasty. The damage that you guys get with this build, I'm telling you guys, is why I use this build. And I think a lot of people, if they run it the way I run it, will definitely benefit versus running Vigilance. Because I see a lot of people run this build with Vigilance, and I don't like Vigilance for trading. When you trade with other players, you lose Vigilance a lot of the time. And I feel like the talent that I'm running on my backpack definitely works better. And you guys will see in the build breakdown how I have this build and why I like running it this way. But yeah, so what we're gonna do now is let's dive into the build. We end up getting manhunt, as you guys see here. We end up getting, I think, rank 1, so nothing too impressive. And then we end up dying. But yeah, so this was the manhunt, but let's get into the build. So let's get into the build. So we're gonna start off with the primary weapon we have here, the Police M4, probably my favorite AR to use in PvP. The reason why is it has a nice RPM, has really good accuracy and stability. You can put a 50 round mag on there with extra additional 20 round mag, so we have 50 rounds, and the base damage on it is pretty solid. So on this one we have 92,000 base damage, right? We're sitting at a 1.1 million armor, and you'll see the full build in a second. So we have 15,000 assault rifle damage, 20,000 health damage, and 10% damage to targets out of cover. We also have In Sync. Hitting an enemy grants 15% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill damage an enemy grants 15% weapon damage. So a total of 30% extra weapon damage and skill damage we'll be getting on this build. And that's why I love both of these. For the secondary, you can run whatever secondary you want. Our main weapon is the Police M4, and that is what we are sticking with. For the mask, we're running the Cheska mask. This gives us 10% critical hit chance. We have 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, 6% critical hit chance, and a 12% critical hit damage mod. God rolled. Exactly what you guys are looking for. It might take you some time, but this is what you guys want. For the chest, we're running one of my favorite PvP talents if I'm not running Unbreakable, Spotter. So we have the Fenrir's chest with 10% assault rifle damage, 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, 6% critical hit chance, and then 12% critical hit damage mod. Another God roll piece. Now, Spotter amplifies total weapon damage and skill damage by 15% to pulse enemies. So anytime my skill is hitting it, they're going to get an additional 15%. Anytime I'm hitting him, 15%. A lot of amplified damage right there. And Spotter is actually great, and it's an easy way to get this by speccing your weapon, and we'll show you that in a second. So that way we don't have to worry about a pulse. For the holster, we're running the improvised holster. 170,000 armor on this. We have 12% critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and then I have 11.8% critical hit damage mod on here. Now, I could max out the critical hit chance, but we're pretty solid on it. But ideally, that's what I would want to max out on this. But yeah, improvised holster, you can craft this at the crafting station. For the knee pads, we went the Foxperry knee pads. We have weapon damage, 8% damage to targets out of cover, and then we have 12% critical hit damage rolled on here. For the Contractor Gloves, we have 170,000 armor, 8% damage to armor, and then 12% critical hit damage. And now the backpack. Now, this is one of the talents that a lot of people tend to use Vigilance, but I actually like Companion. So first off, we have the Grupo Sombra backpack for the 15% critical hit damage, 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, 4.6% critical hit chance, and a 12% critical hit damage mod. Now, why Companion over Vigilance? Well, Companion, when you're within 5 meters of an ally or skill, total weapon damage is increased by 15%. Now, I'm going to show you a way you can get this if you're running solo with this, an easy way for you guys to do that, or if you're running it with a teammate, most of the time you will be within those 5 meters if it's a healer, as you guys saw at the beginning of this video. So a couple different ways you guys can have those procced. Now, the reason why I like this is because this gives you 15% weapon damage. And if you're trading with somebody, Vigilance will go off, right? If they happen to hit you in the head, even with their shield, Vigilance will cut off. But if you're trading with somebody with this, you're never going to lose that as long as you have Companion active, which should be active most of the time. And I feel like this one is greater for when you face trade with people than Vigilance, which is going to go out once your shield goes down or if they hit you in the head. Vigilance isn't active. So if I'm trading with somebody and they have Vigilance and I have Companion and my Companion will be active, I'm going to be able to out DPS them. So that's why I personally like Companion in PvP. In PvE, Vigilance, PvP, Companion. Just to take a look at the stats so you guys can see, we have 50% critical hit chance, almost 180% critical hit damage, 75% headshot damage, 8% armor damage, 18% damage to targets out of cover, which isn't showed here. So armor damage and damage shot out of cover are multiplicative. And then we have health damage right here too. Now we have accuracy and stability on this, but I want to show you something about the weapon itself. So for the mods, we're running a 5% critical hit chance. We're running 5% critical hit chance on the muzzle. And then look, the link laser pointer. This is something you have to use a technician class for, but it pulses enemies. So as long as I pulse the enemy, spotter's going to be active and no need to run a pulse. Now we have the 20 round right here for the sturdy extended mag. For the skills, I either run the striker drone and that's going to help me keep in-sync procced, or if I'm trying to make sure that if I'm running solo, instead of running the striker drone, I'll run the defender drone because the defender drone is always going to be within those 5 meters. And not only is that going to help me get bullets, that's also going to keep Companion up. So defender drone if I'm running solo and I want Companion active, but if I'm running with a teammate, then I can switch to the striker drone. And then the Crusader shield, every time I deploy the Crusader shield, for those few seconds, in-sync will be active, and that's enough time to damage the enemy. So it really just depends on how you're running the build. You can use the Crusader shield to deploy it, undeploy it, deploy it, undeploy it, and in-sync will proc every time for that short amount of time as you're hitting them. And that is an easy way for you guys to get that. Now, if you want to run the striker drone and you have teammates with you, then you can run Companion. With a lot of people do run teammates, so I think Companion's always going to be the better bet versus Vigilance. But yeah, that's the build, guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. But we're going to wrap up the video here. I will see you guys in the next one. But until then, nothing but skills is out.